Gentlemen, thank you for being here. And speaking of gentlemen, as our topic is today, we were talking about this backstage. The men's beauty is in the title of this panel, but that doesn't seem to be a agreed upon term for this category when it comes to men. Do you guys have any feelings about this when you talk about it, amongst yourselves or talk to your customers? Is it men's beauty, grooming? What do we call it?
We call Horace men's grooming fragrance because, as I said to you earlier in backstage, as a men's brand, we are dealing with fragile masculinity of heterosexual men. So the whole point is always to find the right balance between showing them a drag queen and showing them an MMA fighter, but which is something we do at our house. We can do both. And but the truth is, when I talk about it with the team, we talk that we are in the men's market rather than the beauty market, because I want them to frame that we need to behave as men expect us, rather than what you expect from a beauty brand.
Right. What about for Dr. Squatch?
Yeah, similar to Mark, we focus on the terms men's grooming or men's personal care. I think beauty is not really what men use to describe themselves very often. So even though it's a similar category of products, the terminology and the phrasing might feel a bit foreign. And I think what we found is, from a marketing perspective and positioning, developing the sense of closeness and talking to men in their own language is the best way to do it.
Yeah. Let's call it like men's handsome or something.
Yeah, men's confidence.
Yeah, something like that.
Men's
confidence.
handsome.
Yeah.
Men's debonair, for a French word.
When it comes to personal care, grooming, or whatever you want to call it, how do you guys, how do men approach the category? What are they looking for in these products?
Yeah, do you want to start, Mark? You want me to?
Us, it's really they are looking, but I think it's true for women as well. People want efficacy and a good price for efficacy. And for men, because most are really newbies into the category, especially for us, because most of the business is skincare and fragrance. You have to be very simple. So a face cleanser is called a purifying face cleanser. It's it does what it does. And the whole point is just making sure that they get what it does. I'm saying that again, but the whole point is really, really that.
Yeah, similar for us. We find that men in general are first looking for functionality and efficacy. And if the product doesn't work, they're not going to buy it again. Right. But what we've also been seeing is that I think guys haven't really been spoken to that much by the industry as a whole. And they've been treated as kind of a monolithic group of people that don't really care or don't invest much time and energy into the category. So I think where we've had a lot of success is actually treating them as a unique audience and an audience with specific needs and specific desires that might actually be different than what people assume. And so by finding ways to connect with them in a meaningful way, it allows you, once you get beyond the functionality and the efficacy, to deliver a brand and products that connect with them at an emotional level, at a psychographic level, which is what people are really looking for these days.
Is there a price component as well? Because I feel like men, even like Horace, the products are high quality, but it's a pretty accessible price point for what you're getting. Do men not want to pay a lot of money for personal care?
I remember having a conversation with someone that has a really high paying job, and he was telling me that the product he used for shaving, and it's Gillette. And the whole point was I was talking again and again with a lot of men, and they were they don't want to pay that much. But I think it's now also a broader appeal. Is people are very aware of what is the real price of a product, and health was a very good example of that, and many brands are a very good example of that. And people just expect a very good value for money, and they want brand to deliver that consistently.
Yeah, same for us. Our flagship product, still outselling everything else, is an $8 bar soap. We have #1 dollar velocities at Target, at Walmart, at most of the major retailers in the US with an $8 bar soap, which is significantly more expensive than a normal six-pack that most people would generally buy. And so what we found is that men are willing to pay more if they see there being a reason to pay more, but they're not willing to necessarily pay more, at a mainstream level, just because of the brand or because of the label. You have to do things a little bit differently. But for us, I mean, price points, we play, I think, at a slightly lower level than Horace. So we're more kind of in the prestige range. But people are definitely willing to trade up, especially these days when they're looking for more out of their personal care products.
And when it comes to shopping, I want to talk about how men shop for beauty products. Priya mentioned this, and I also heard a rumor once from somebody in beauty who said that most of the men's products, most of the products that are marketed to men are purchased by women or purchased by significant others. I love that you guys are up here because it feels like you're speaking to very different segments of the same kind of men's monolith, but I'm curious, has that been true for you in how men shop? John, do you want to start?
Yeah, for us, it depends mostly on the channel.
Okay.
And I think when you look at, we have a very strong e-commerce business. We were initially a D2C company and built that for years. I think we're still the number one, men's kind of D2C beauty, grooming, personal care brand. Most of the consumption from our D2C channel is guys buying for themselves. But at retail, we launched end of 2021 initially. It completely flipped. Yeah. So most of the buying actually comes from women who are buying for partners, for kids, for the household. And so the approach had to change quite a bit because you're speaking to slightly different audiences, and the motivations behind that might change. I think what we found is similar to how kids might nag their parents for a box of cereal with a cartoon on it. We also are able to kind of lever the male nag factor. So even though maybe someone else is buying for me, I can convince them to buy what I want them to buy. Has been a really effective approach.
The male nag factor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I use that a lot myself.
Yeah.
On our end, it's very, very different. I mean, 85% of clients are male directly. They buy for them, and the whole point for us is how we can make men buy skincare, beard care, fragrance for themselves, because at the end of the day, they are the end user. And we are doing something that everyone wishes they want to, is finally cracking men's skincare. And we've been doing that in France. I mean, we're the number one men's skincare brand, and it's because we find ways to make sure that they want to buy it for themselves, which goes back to making sure that it's efficient, they get what they do, and we do a lot of tutorials and how to, but the whole point is just like, you have money, you had the right to use your money before women had, so, go to your store and get your own product. It's not your wife or significant other to do that for you. And you know what you want, and that's the whole thing. It's like we are focused on solving problems, and the truth is like you are the one who knows what you need, and the whole point is that, and it's true with whether it's on e-commerce, in our stores, in pharmacies, everywhere. It's just men buying for them.
Yeah. Nice. And Mark, I want to ask you a little bit more about that because Horace is direct to consumer, but also has retail spaces, correct? Has that changed how your message penetrates with men?
No, It's really, really, really the same. The whole point is like we're a brand where you can get anything you want to look good and smell good. So this is why we have like deodorant. We also have like shower gel that you have in your gift bag, and it smells good. And we have fragrance, we have skincare, and the more we grow, it's always the same pattern of men feel that it's finally okay to take care of themselves and use products they never thought they could use because they just don't know it existed. Right. Because, going back to what you say, it's like the industry is so focused on thinking men want harsh products, that they don't want to use skincare, that they will never use a concealer or whatever. The truth is they are way more open to use product than what we usually think. They just don't know about it.
Have you thought about any bigger retailers that could amplify that message?
We are at Monoprix in France. We are in pharmacies. We are in talks with others. And the whole point is like we have stores. We have like 17 stores in France, soon 19. We have one store in London. The truth is, if we want to be accessible, which is one of the main things at Horace, we will need to have partners that can help us go deeper and further, because we can have like 6 stores in Paris, but we cannot have like a store in Nottingham in the UK. We cannot have like a store in Atlanta in the US. So we need partners that have like the same mindset of we want to change the way people buy skincare and buy fragrance and buy beard care, and like we need to build partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about marketing to men, and I want to ask you, John, I feel like Dr. Squatch has killed it in marketing. It's really, it's a great brand for reaching men, and you guys have minted your own mascots in the past. You've also had celebrities, Sydney Sweeney recently, I don't know if you guys saw, infused her bath water into a bar soap. and I understand that is a bestseller.
Sold out in less than 1 minute.
Oh,
yeah.
That is crazy.
So, it's pretty
tell me,
crazy.
I mean, who sells well to men in your experience?
What we found is that I think guys kind of have their own language sometimes, and it's really important to understand your customer at a deep level. The morning breakfast session, there's a lot of conversation around using things besides demographic data to understand your customer. I mean, we spend a lot of time, and I know, Mark, you were saying this, just talking with people and finding out where does the white space exist. And I tell my team pretty often it's more about reading the tea leaves of culture and trying to figure out where are people headed, what's going to be important a year from now or 2 years from now, and starting to not dilute your brand or to change your brand, but to position yourself to really be on top of where the trends are going to be headed. And so what we found is that using a variety of partners, using a variety of content is the most effective. I think if you, especially at our size now, when you're trying to go after a much wider audience base, you can't rely on small niches to be successful. And so how do you start to combine different subcultures, or how do you really start to play at a more kind of mainstream level to win becomes really important. Then I think the other thing that we found is people just have very short attention spans these days. And so for you to be successful, most people, maybe they don't care about your story. And so how do you figure out what is their personal narrative and what will they focus on and what do they care about, and how can you play within that space? Especially in men's, I think is even more critical because historically, at least in the area that we play in, it's been very low emotion. Most guys just haven't really cared. And so how can you get them to pay attention and to focus? A lot of times it's by doing things that are going to be a bit more disruptive and a bit more out there so you can capture people's attention. And then once you have the attention, you can use the attention to communicate something that's really important. And so we focus on disruptive, like highly engaging marketing, because then once we get your focus, we can talk to you about the benefits of natural products, the benefits of using skincare, the benefits of using full hair care routine. And you trust and believe in us more, A, because you're paying attention, but B, because you feel a closeness with the brand. And I think the beauty industry historically, I think for men at least, can be pretty intimidating. And I think for a lot of guys, you feel uncomfortable, you're not sure what to buy, you're not sure how to really use the products. And so by communicating with men at a level that they understand can be really impactful in terms of driving growth. And on the marketing side, it also just gives you a lot better content to work with. It gives you much better creative that you can use in ad campaigns that is much stickier and much more effective. And so the whole flywheel starts to work on itself.
Yeah. And taking that connection a little bit deeper, tell me a little bit about how you guys build community with this customer base, because it feels like community is so important for beauty brands. I'm not sure how you wrangle men.
First thing is we answer every comment people put on social media. We answer every emails. We basically handle 300 to 400 communication per day, just from guys, asking questions, saying anything. And then it's a lot of me connecting with people. So I do a lot of community events in store. And for example, we just launched a fragrance called Vetiver Primavera, which is our biggest launch yet. And I went in store and half of the session was let me introduce you about the fragrance. And the other half of the question was just fire question about what's next. When is this product coming? I need that. Do you have this? But people want to be heard. That's people want to be seen. And communities is really about that. It's you want to connect. And a lot of brands forget that social media is about engagement. It's not about reach. It's not about, so you need to follow people. You need to engage with them. And we spend a lot of time just doing that.
Yeah. Engagement over reach, yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think a lot of brands, you feel like you're talking down to somebody, but it's not the right way to do it. And I think it's also worth talking about what is a real community. Within a brand, a lot of people say, we have a great community because you have maybe a lot of social followers, but I don't know if that's really community. I think community, to Mark's point, is talking with, engaging with people. It's listening. It's showing them that you're listening. It's launching products based on what they tell you they want. It's responding to issues based on what they tell you the issues are. But then it's also allowing them an environment where they can kind of connect and share the love and share the enthusiasm. And what we found is really helpful because as they get more excited about the brand and the products, it helps fuel your business as well because they're sharing with their friends. And if you tell me about something, it's going to be way more impactful for me than if a brand tells me about something. And so community done well, I think to Mark's point, where there's actual back and forth, can really become something that allows for much more exponential growth.
Yeah. Nice. I want to ask you guys one of my favorite questions, which is, and I know that from your brands, you cover skincare, fragrance, body care, men's makeup. I feel like we're always ready for it to
That's
take
funny.
off. It's always next year, like you know, the men's makeup is going to go mainstream. There's going to be that great men's line, and then it never happens. How close are we?
I think we are very, very close. I mean, we have like a product called the Healthy Glow Fluid, which is basically a bronzer, which is one of the best-selling products in the US and in the UK. And like, we call it tinted skincare because again, like dealing with fragile masculinity of heterosexual men. I'm an heterosexual man, I know what I'm talking about. But I have a very good example. At some point, we launched like an under eye cream, which is one of the best sellers. And like guys came and said like, this is nice, but I want something that works instantly.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was like, okay, so it's makeup.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that works instantly for your under eye, it's that. And so we launched it. It's not as big like an under eye moisturizer, but the work was just like showing them pictures of before and after. And they started buying it. And I remember like being at one of our Parisian stores a couple of months ago, and I was with a journalist, and like the journalist was coming exactly for the same question as you have. And he was like, have you ever buy men's makeup to a client? He was like, no, but I just didn't know it existed. And Horace showed me it existed, and I understand what the product is doing, so I'm gonna give it a try because it actually works.
Yeah. Nice, imminently.
Yeah,
Wait.
it's now.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.